Alright, for those of you watching the podcast, this is the segment where I'm showing you my yearbook from class of 1999. The podcast, of course, we're in September 1998 when the year just started. Now, this is my yearbook, but I wasn't ever rich enough to afford the yearbook, so I think me or one of my brothers found this later on or something, so I didn't actually buy this one, but it's from my 8th grade year, and of course I was failed 7th grade, so this isn't the class of people that I originally was with, like when I joined Norwood View Elementary School in, I don't remember what year it was, but it was 3rd grade. But anyway, this is the 8th grade yearbook, like I said, and for you, those of you watching the podcast, if you're listening to the podcast, which is probably only Josh on Spotify, you're gonna have to watch this part of it, or just I'll try to describe it. And also, this is going to be its own individual video on just on Facebook, I guess. But anyway, I'm just going to kind of go through this and give some memories, and hopefully you can see everybody here. This is Norwood Middle School here. Great big building. It was the high school at one point. Then they built a new high school next to it, and they had like a bridge that joined them, and the cafeteria was in the high school. And the planetarium, which is pretty cool. But yeah, this was the original high school. And I'm not gonna not gonna show like every page, stuff's falling or something. Try to point out some people. And a lot of these people I don't remember. A lot of them I didn't know. I know I should be more professional, have all this stuff uploaded and everything, pictures and stuff, but anyway, let's quickly through this. There's the principal. I was in his office a lot. Actually, I was in her office a lot because she was the assistant principal for the cluster I was on. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, there's in our school it was separated into clusters, red cluster and blue cluster for each grade. And if you started in one cluster, like I think I started 6 blue. So next year I went to 7 red, but I failed, so I went to 7 blue. So the next year I was in 8 red. But anyway, it's just, since there were so many kids, it's just a way to keep it separated. Each cluster has its own teachers. Yeah, it has nothing to do with like grades or anything like that, because I'm sure if it did, I'd be in the bad one. But yeah, I've been in both the assistant principal's office and the principal's office. But now we're going to get into the teachers. Let's see. Oh, I know you'll remember her, Josh, and maybe Travis. Mrs. Brim from the library. She was actually in Norwood View, our elementary school's library, and then she moved to the middle school. I think no, not when I moved, but it might have been after, because I think Josh had her for a while too. I'm sure he remembers those Goosebump books he took. I've told that story on here before. Anyway, let's go through these teachers. I'll try to give some thoughts of them if I remember. There's just a bunch, like Mr. Athey, I remember him. And then there's Mr. Bolser. He was so I can't remember the exact grades for some of these, but he taught social studies. Let's see, Mr. and Mrs. Bretz. We always made fun of them because, like, it seemed like they wore each other's like clothes. It seemed like, I believe. Mr. Bretz was 6th grade and Mrs. Bretz was 7th. I can't remember exactly. Again, there's Mrs. Brim, the librarian, loved her. Mrs. Calkins, I had her for math. There's Mr. Charlton, our computer teacher. Man, I love that. Learned how to type in there back when it was just typing computers. And then, of course, later on when we got to high school, there was the Introduction to Internet class, if you believe that. They actually taught you how to use the internet because it was, like, new. And my first experience with the internet, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I mean, nowadays, I'd probably take it for granted. I just get on the computer, go to this, go to that. But, I mean, back then, I didn't think I have an internet at home, so it was, like, the greatest thing in the world. Mr. Cooper. There's Mr. Cox. I've told stories about him before. He's the guy that got me to go to his church, which Marky Foe put an end to that because he had to have beer cans out all over the porch, and the church people, when they dropped me off, kind of said something about it, so he went off, you ain't going back there anymore. But anyway, he was the math teacher. He was hard on me, but he was also one of the most caring teachers because I've told this story before. I got made fun of because my shoes were from Payless. If you remember that store. Everybody else had all the good shoes like Nikes and Asics and Adidas and all that stuff. So he'd heard everybody making fun of me. Plus my shoes were kind of old too. So anyway, one day he'd put a pair of Adidas in my locker. And, he also, he's like, oh, there's my stupid phone going on. I forgot to shut it off. Law and Order's not after me. But anyway, he was like, I forget exactly what he said. He didn't make it sound like, here you go, I feel sorry for you. But, you could tell he did. Looking back on it now, he was like one of the greatest teachers I ever had. And I always remember that. Now, let's see here. We got, Mr. Gabbard, he was the health teacher. And also, this class called Conflict Resolution, I think I had in 6th grade. I remember that well. No, he wasn't the teacher for that. That was another person. He was only there for a year. Sorry. Anyway, he was the health teacher. I'm trying to, remember this stuff as I go. Oh, boy. There's Mr. Heisel. And there is, as I thought as a kid, the world's hottest gym teacher, Mrs. Kazmaier, who married Mr. Heisel. I think I told that story before. Broke all our hearts. I actually got into a fight with a friend over her. Stupid, he was like, she's my girlfriend. And, we were in 7th grade when this happened, so it wasn't like we were little kids. We were, being stupid, and he said something. We literally got into a fist fight and stopped talking to each other over her. I don't remember the exact details, but it was over her. And no, neither one of us were, she wasn't inappropriate or anything like that. None of our teachers are like that. Like you see all in the news now, it seems like every day a teacher's getting arrested for sleeping with a student or something. I mean, I'm sure it happened, but I'm pretty sure it didn't happen at our school, because something like that would have happened, it would have went everywhere. But yeah, she was like every boy's crush in that school, I swear. Let's see here. I remember some of these people. It's just Mrs. Ondash, the French teacher. I hated the class because I hated trying to learn French. I passed the class somehow, but I don't remember anything. Law and Order's not after me, I swear. Let's see here. Any more that I remember for sure? Like I said, some of these are just I just remember them, but some, I remember as being teachers, but I don't have individual memories. Now we're getting on the students. Let me scan these quickly as I go through. I'm not going to talk about everybody, but there's a few I want to talk about. That is Christopher Ayers, which I've discovered since then, because a lot of these people I weren't friends with, because I didn't have many friends because I was a dork. But anyway, I've discovered that he runs, or I don't know if he runs, but he's part of the people that are associated with Ascend Pro Wrestling in Norwood, which is where this high school is. So it's pretty cool that he's in the wrestling business, and so am I. I actually seen him, even though I didn't even acknowledge that so I was like, his name sounds familiar, because he used to go by Christopher, but now he just goes by Chris, I think. But anyway, yeah, he works with Ascend Pro Wrestling in Norwood. So it's kind of cool we both ended up in the wrestling business, and I had no idea he even was into wrestling then, or we would have been hanging out all the time like I did with some of these people. But let's see, I'm trying to scan here. Brian Burt, he was a school bully. He freaking chased me home half the time from school. I knew I was going to get into some of them. Let's see here. Oh boy, there I am. Me and all my dorkiness. Hopefully the camera's... I remember that freaking shirt. It was because we didn't have really choice of clothes. You just got whatever we got, like hand-me-downs or stuff given to us. It was a freaking St. Louis Cardinals shirt. And I get taken a picture in the yearbook wearing a Cardinals shirt. How embarrassing. By the way, the circles, if you see any circles around it, they're not like... I don't even have memories of those two people that are circled there, and I'm circled, Because like I said, we found this, so this stuff was always... I'm kind of wondering why I'm circled. Like, was I like the dork gang? Was this somebody's hit list? I don't know. I'm kind of worried that I'm circled. But, let's see here. Allison DiPiano. I was like, well, had a crush on her. There's certain girls you had crushes on. You always wonder where they're at now, but... Let's see. Anybody else on here that I recognize off the top of the bat? Don't think so. So we'll go on to the next page, see if we got anybody. Andy Fitzpatrick. I remember him. He was one of my friends. Like we didn't have like super close friends, but you know, just people you talk with during school. Let's see. There's Brian. He was probably my closest thing to a best friend. We were like complete opposites, like music. Like you can't even tell, but he was always wearing ICP shirts and stuff, and he was into that type of music. But the thing we bonded over was wrestling, especially like ECW and stuff. He's the guy that I went over and fought at the... Can't remember the other guy's name. The guy that had the house right across from the school. But he's the one that we went over and wrestled on the freaking flaming mattress of death. I always wonder what happened to him. Wish we could have stayed close. But yeah, we were. I wouldn't say acquaintances. We were definitely good friends. It's just, you know, I didn't have many friends then. As you can tell, I ain't got many now. There's Michael Hoff. I was surprised to find out he was in the same grade as me because he was like one of the smart kids. We were in elementary school together, and we hung out. I went to his house a couple times. Of course, I wasn't allowed to go to anybody's house hardly ever. But it was me, him, and somebody else. I went over to his house because he lived close to the middle school when they were doing the orientation. And then I would go over to his house in the mornings, watch VR Troopers and Power Rangers, and he'd watch Pokemon, just stuff before school. Back in 6th grade, whenever we first started the 6th grade. Let's see if there's anybody else I recognize on here. Again, sorry for this weirdly shot video. I think there's another page, a couple more pages. There's, of course, the no photo available slot that you always ended up getting. Let's see. There's Mary Miller. Had a crush on her. There's Jeremy Monjar. Had a crush on his sister. I'll talk about her in a minute. It's like, is this just your crushes? But anyway, me and him were bonded over wrestling too. I went over to his house once. It was like the time that Marky Foe literally told me to leave. I was in like 8th grade, obviously. Or it might have been, it was either 7th or 8th, because I met this group of kids, like I said, when I failed 7th grade, so it was 7th and 8th grade I knew him best. But anyway, he literally threw me out, so I went over to his house and we like wrestled all day. Is that all you do is wrestle? Yes. Ain't like I just got into wrestling 10 years ago and started trying it. I've been watching it forever. There's Valen Meyer, another one of everybody's crushes. But when I say these people were my crushes, I probably never even said 2 words to them. I was so like embarrassed to even talk to them. So it's not like they would even know me, or maybe they would be like, oh, that's that dork. I guarantee you they would. Let's see, anybody else on here that I recognize off the top of the head? I don't think so. I think there's one more page. Again, sorry if this ain't the most like entertaining stuff. I think that's Chris Ayers there. Yeah, he was a jock, so I definitely wasn't hanging out with them. Even though I was into wrestling, it wasn't the same as, you know, the football players and the actual wrestlers on the, you know, the school wrestling team. I really didn't fit into any cliques or groups or anything. It was just always, you know, I hung out with these people because they liked wrestling, and that was about it. Can't really call it like a group or a clique or anything. Oh, Brittany Wise. I remember her. I had a huge crush on her too. I swear. That's all life is in school, is whatever friends you can find and whatever crushes you can have. But anyway, 7th grade, there's only one I'm going to point out here that I even remember, because I don't remember anybody from there other than the reason I'm pointing this person out. That is Jessica Monjar. She's on my Facebook, but I don't think I've ever talked to her. I only even met her, like I said, she was my friend Jeremy's sister, but I only ever met her in summer school, because we were in the same summer school class, even though we were in different grades, because no, actually, I take that back. We were in separate grades. But anyway, we met in the same summer school class. We were in the same summer school class. Anyway, I had a huge crush on her. You knew that was coming. But anyway, yeah, all these people in here and all these crushes and all this stuff, but yet I never once had a freaking date in that school. Not one. Not one girlfriend, not one. In fact, I would tell a story when I put go on the last page here, because yeah, it's empty. Even if it would have been mine and I could have afforded it, nobody would have signed it. But anyway, we'll put it on the cover while I tell this story. I ain't showing my face until I get back to the podcast. Anyway, it's been 16 minutes. I'm sorry it's been so long. But anyway, where was I going with that? I swear, I am scatterbrained today. Oh yeah, I can't remember the girl's name, but it was, she had to be in here, and I'm gonna find her. And I'll put the camera back on her. I'll be back in a minute. All right, one quick story before you check out the last of this yearbook. I searched the thing and couldn't find her. The girl I'm gonna tell the story about. I can't remember her name. I think she might have been like my original grade or a grade above me. But I remember all through a couple years even of middle school where these people were telling me, this girl wants to go out with me, this girl, and like it became like a joke and trying to get me to ask her out, and she said no, and they kept like, she's just playing hard to get and all this stuff, and like she eventually found out about the joke and like told the kids off, and, you know, she was sweet about it, but this is like, that's how cruel kids can be sometimes, you know. Doesn't matter the time period. And it's like I mean, I can't even tell in words like yeah, she wants to write you a note, she's too shy and all this stuff. It's like, it was so ridiculous looking back on it now, but like I said, I had, you know, no girlfriends, nobody wanted to date me then or now. I don't think my wife wants to date me. But anyway, like it, you know, it was just like, it's like, wow, people are so cruel that they're gonna make up this whole story and go on with it for like months and months just to humiliate somebody. It's like stupid. But anyway, I'm not trying to make this all upsetting, blah blah blah. Anyway, I'm gonna get this last page. It's the year in review. This thing will focus. Favorite television show, Dawson's Creek. Definitely wasn't mine. Mine was probably WCW Monday Nitro. But by the way, I went back and when I was looking for that girl, I couldn't find her. But I noticed 3 or 4 kids had NWO shirts on, and I didn't even know any of them. It was like, we could have been friends. We're watching the same thing. Anyway, favorite movie, Rush Hour, which will be coming up in the podcast. I'll be talking a little bit about that because that came out this month, actually. Favorite actor, Jim Carrey. Definitely. I have to look back to see if Rush Hour would be my favorite movie of the school year. Probably not, because there's probably other ones I like better. But favorite actor, Jim Carrey, I definitely went with. Favorite actress, Sarah Michelle Gellar. Of course, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I think I Know What You Did Last Summer had been out already. Favorite sports team, Denver Broncos. That's just everybody because they won the Super Bowl. Everybody's like, oh, you're the... But I mean, they were popular then. It shows you how bad the Bengals weren't the pick. Bengals or the Reds are like, no, the Denver Broncos. But I mean, John Elway, couldn't beat him. Favorite sports event, Super Bowl, of course. Favorite song, God Must Have Spent a little more time on you. And favorite music group, NSYNC. I wasn't listening to them at all during that time. I didn't really get into them until the end of '99, beginning of 2000, when I started getting into NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys. Biggest news of it, Bill Clinton's impeachment. Yep. If this had been a couple years before, it would definitely have been the OJ thing. But yeah, that's just a little snapshot of my yearbook and stuff. Like I said, I found it, or my brothers found it, one of the two. Didn't actually buy it, but yeah. Norwood Middle School, I got despite all the crappy memories, I still got a lot of good memories from there. I'm gonna play innocent victim here. Oh, everybody picked on me. I definitely caused my fair share of trouble, and was in the principal's office all the time, and the counselor's office, and probably had me on several lists of whatever the freak. But anyway, that's my yearbook.